Hi, A to C Talk family. This is your girl, Geneva Pearson, licensed marriage and family therapist located here in Hollywood, Florida. I know it's been a little bit since we've been able to get back to you, so I'm excited about the topic that we'll be doing for the month of December. So we decided to focus on a topic each month and then break that topic down each week with a video vlog to kind of talk about and bring about that point a little further. Something that really is, and these topics honestly really come from practice that I see with our men and women and millennial men and women here in our practice down here in South Florida. And the topics really come from a lot of the work that I do with the clients. And so I try to hone in and focus on these pieces because they're too good of nuggets for you to have. And I think that unfortunately, though some of you out there in the world of social media, you are not here in our office down here in South Florida, we don't want you to miss out on those nuggets as well. And for those that are in South Florida or close to South Florida, get these nuggets, get to this office and get these nuggets in more in-depth individual way. But we want to kind of start with a video vlog each week on a particular subtopic of our overarching topic. So for the month of December, we wanted to be able to talk about self-abandonment and healthy boundaries, right? So I think a lot of what I experience with our clients are that we self-abandon. I've done it myself in the past as well, right? So what is self-abandoning? I find it where we walk away from ourselves at the expense of taking care of and living by expectations that are indirectly and directly told to us, to others at our own expense, right? And it's interesting because I think that there's a lot of risk to self-abandonment, right? And more so than before I go into risk, I think a lot of times we learn how to self-abandon based upon the environment that we were raised in, our culture, our family, our relationships, the many hats that we wear, whether we identify as a woman, as a man, whether it's something that's been passed on generationally because we saw our grandmother, our great grandmother, our mother sacrifice and self-abandon. We feel as though that's the thing that we need to do as well. And so I've learned that when we self-abandon, we walk away from ourselves and we show a lot less self-love than when we stand up and say and communicate in a healthy way what we need, want, and desire, and set boundaries around things that we find that we don't need and want and desire, right? So there's a lot of risks that our clients here at Advocate to Create end up experiencing, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys out there in social media world, is feeling a lot of guilt, right? And so I say yes to a lot of things that I really don't want to say yes to because I feel a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, right? Feeling responsible, or feelings of regret that if I don't do it, then what will they think about me? What will they say? What will it mean? I'm supposed to be this type of mom because all the other moms are doing it, but I feel exhausted by the end of the day. Just so many types of taking ownerships for a lot of things that are not really meant for you, or you may not subscribe to in your world, but maybe that's applicable to someone else in their world. And there's a lot of people pleasing. There's an increase of stress. And a lot of times because of the guilt that comes with it, we end up feeling like when we do the thing that we think that we're supposed to do, that we're not enough. Like it's not good enough, or we feel less than or inadequate in some way. So therefore we do it so that we can obtain some type of pleasing or positivity from that person or that thing, in order to know that we're enough, right? And so there's that and so many more risks that comes to it. I think a lot of times when we self-abandon, it can create a sense of mistrust, not only within us, and not, fully digging into why we're doing what we're doing. So then when we actually do something or don't do something, we stand by that firm. But it also gets in the way of actually truly having authentic, vulnerable relationships, real relationships with people that you want to have with them, and not kind of putting forth who you think you should be and how you think you should be in order to maintain their relationship. I actually think that's the quickest way to disconnect from relationships than actually to build one, all because we fear. We fear embarrassment. We fear not being enough. We fear rejection and so many things and more, right? And so we self-abandon, okay? And so I really wanted to kind of give some examples of the topic that I want to talk about today, which is, it's again, the vision for the month of December is self-abandonment and healthy boundaries. But today I want to specifically talk about small steps, big goals, right? I work with so many men and women, and from a day-to-day basis where they feel like, I have this big goal, or I have this big vision, or this is what I want to do, but um each little step that I'm taking is not enough, right? Because I haven't achieved that yet. And if I say what it is out into the world, into the universe, that this is what I want and this is what I've been doing to get it, they may discredit it and not validate it and feel like it's not enough. So we don't say anything, and we don't do anything, and we don't celebrate the small goals and the small wins, which are actually big wins that adds to the steps and walking towards making and achieving the big goals, right? So I'll give you some examples, right? So let's say your goal is to get a job, right? And so some of those small steps may be for you to, one, sit with self and try to figure out, what are my desires? What are my passions? What are my strengths? What are some areas in which that I excel at? What are some areas that are not my strengths? What are some areas where that needs some room for improvement? I got to watch out with that. If you one with a slick mouth, I don't necessarily believe customer service may be for you, right? And that's just using, just an interesting, funny little scenario. But so the big goal is to get the job, right? Whether it's a dream job or whether it's the job for now, if it's the job to make ends meet, whatever that is, the goal is to get the job, right? Some small steps that are really big wins, if you achieve them and you actually execute them, is maybe looking for the strengths, right? Within your passions, your dreams, what, the target population that you need to be in front of, and the message that you need to be able to deliver in your doing, in your actions and or your words. Another small step in that area would be actually researching and seeing what the job market looks like for that particular thing that you like doing. Right? It's not just jumping online and going to Indeed.com and Monster and some of these other sites and just start filling out applications. You got to actually look at, what is the actual job market? Is it located? I'm here in South Florida. So is it really here in South Florida, or is it maybe somewhere in Texas, or maybe it's in Northern Florida? And if not, is there a way to bring it down to South Florida? Because maybe you can't move to Northern Florida or to Texas. So it's really doing the research behind it is a small step, but it's a huge win to maybe look at, do I need to tailor what I actually want, or is there an actual market for it? Another example of a small step into a big win in that scenario for job is to create a resume and a cover letter and kind of begin starting to formulate the sentence structure of representing you in black ink on white paper. So people will see that before they ever see and meet you. And so that's, being able to articulate who you are and what you want to accomplish in their company is huge, right? It's not just we walk in, we get the job. There are steps that go to that. And so maybe you're at step one where you're visioning your passions and your strengths and your desires and your dreams. And then people are asking you, okay, so where you are, you say you was getting a job, right? How's that job thing going? And you're like, I'm going over my passions and my strengths, and I'm really digging into what I like. And immediately they look at you like, so you ain't got no job yet, right? So it's then that kind of sometimes creates this shift in your mind, like, dang, like I'm not doing enough. This is stupid. Like this doesn't make any sense. Maybe I need to move past that. And so what it does is it shifts us off of our focus, which is the steps that we need to take. And there's no one direct path. It'll be tailored towards for you, but it gets us off of our track and we get onto somebody else's track because immediately they discredit us. So therefore we discredit ourselves, so that's one example. Another example is, let's say you want to live a healthier you. Your big goal is a healthier you, right? So, and that particular goal, you want to lose weight, maybe inches, you want to be smaller. Maybe you want to get to the point of where if you have any diagnoses medically from diabetes or anything like that, where you want to go from insulin, to being insulin based to not being insulin based, and so many things and more, right? It doesn't just happen like that. It requires, maybe planning a schedule and kind of sitting down and evaluating your health with a medical professional. And maybe even be kind of looking at what are some things that I can do now? Are you walking? Why do you need to run and go to the gym? I know for me, on a transparent note, I hate the gym. I think the gym is is the worst thing invented in this life right now. Because I go in there and I see all these people, and I see the people with the cute outfits on, and they're like gymmed out in their outfits. Then I see the people that are super buff and the people that are super fit and tiny, and I'm like, why are y'all here? Not realizing that my mission for why I'm there is going to be totally different for the mission while they're there. They may be training for something. They may be getting ready to do a marathon, or they may be battling a illness that I can't physically see on the outside. So because it doesn't look like my assumption or perception of what I think it should look like, I immediately start comparing myself to them and kind of figure out like, oh, I don't belong here, or people are judging me, or people are looking at me, right? So instead of me maybe not, the gym is not for me, or maybe being mindful of that, if I know that I go to the gym and I get distracted with all the people and everything that's there, rather than staying focused on my particular thing, maybe I need to take an accountability partner with me, or maybe I need to go at a different time where it's not so saturated with so many different people, or perhaps trying something that's non-gym related. There's so many physical activities that you can do, such as walk around your neighborhood, walk around a beautiful park, maybe go do some dance type of exercise with a group. We have Vixen's women workout here, where it's hip hop dance and twerking and stuff. So that may be the thing for you, or kickboxing or something like that. And rather than focusing on, I got to go in and get on a treadmill. So I think, it's a way of small steps to big win, and it becomes less about the number, and it becomes more about connections with others, finding a support system, being able to be accountable, being disciplined about not only the actual workout piece, but maybe about what you're actually eating, and taking accountability and responsibility for that. Maybe meal prepping and planning out what you are wanting to eat ahead of time, so that you're less triggered or less likely to go and purchase something to eat, fast food related. So those are just some examples of when I'm talking about small steps to big goals, right? And so I know I talked about it from the perspective of health, and I talked about it from the perspective of jobs, but that's any goal that honestly that you can think about. That's any goal where at the end of the day, it's this big thing really far away, right? And it seems so far, far away, right? But the more that you put one foot in front of the other and one foot in front of the other by attempting and trying again, and knowing that if you fall or you get off the wagon, that the only way that you can get back on the wagon is if you get back on the wagon and you don't sulk in what you haven't done and what you didn't get right and how you didn't succeed, but you actually do it in a healthier way by self-reflecting and look backing and asking yourself, what got in the way of me achieving that piece? What was something that triggered me? Who triggered me? How did it trigger me? What's something that could be a safety net for me next time, so that maybe it's not such a readily available temptation, whether that's to be lazy or lay at home or whatever the case may be, right? To do that, right? So I wanted to be able to give you some tips, right? Some small steps, big goal tips to kind of help you on your journey and whatever that goal is for you. I know that it's going into 2020, and a lot of people have coined the idea, 2020 is the year of vision, or 2020, new year, new me. No, I think new moment, new you. I think that every moment is an opportunity for you to say yes and an opportunity for say no. It shouldn't wait for an appointed time later on that may or may not ever come. So I think that first part of it is, and my tip for small wins, small steps, big goals, is to one, realize that why wait? Start now. Start at any moment. Start in the middle on a Wednesday. Start on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. Start in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning because your brain won't shut off because it keeps going, right? Start. It doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter how you start per se, is that you actually start. Okay. So that's the first piece that I want to be able to offer you guys, because too many times we self-sabotage by not starting, and so we self-abandon and we don't ever pour into the gifts that we have or the visions that we have for our life, because we're waiting for an point in time or a point in season. Well, the season is always now. Okay, so that's the first tip, is to start now. The second thing is, I want to say this in the most amazing way that I can say it, but y'all know me. And if you do any of my A to C real talk sessions here in Hollywood, when I do those once a month, is I'm going to keep it real with y'all. The second tip is for you to mind your own business. Okay, mind your absolutely nosy self business. And what do I mean by that? I mean that stop comparing yourself to everybody else and what they're doing and what they're not doing. So now you hitting 30, and so you feel as though you need to be accomplishing certain things. Now you feel as though, so your cousin and them done got a degree, so now you reflecting over your life about what you haven't done and what you have done with your life. Stop comparing your journey with somebody else's journey. Your journey is uniquely yours, and it can only be shaped by you. Okay, regardless of what traumas you've had, regardless of what other external factors there are, in order for you to have the life that you want, it has to be based on your terms. So stop comparing yourself to somebody else. It doesn't make sense for you to compare yourself to somebody else, because then you're no longer in your lane running your race. You're in their lane running their race. And at the end of the day, everybody has different strengths. You won't have the same strength as somebody else. You won't have the same passions. You won't have the same ideas. You won't have the same drive. You won't have the same motivation. You won't have the same athleticism. Each of it will be different, and it'll be based upon what you have been born given, right, as strengths and abilities, and then also what you foster. And I think it's really important to not look over into somebody else's vision and see it and be like, ooh, I want that. Why didn't I think of that? Right? Because part of that is you didn't think of that because that's not for you, right? You have to look at what are the things that drives me, that motivates me, that gets me up every day. If I didn't get paid for this, what would I be doing if I didn't get paid for it? Whether it's career oriented, whether it is health oriented, whether it is relationship oriented, romantic or platonic, whatever that is for you, whether it is I want to have a goal of having one authentic connection with someone in my life that I know that I can depend on, right? Outside of your mama and them, right? So part of it is stay in your lane and mind your business. Okay. So the first thing, like I said, was about I don't remember what the first go. Oh, start now. Sorry. Start now. Sorry guys. I've been there since 9:30 in the morning, and it's now almost 8:30 at night here. So the first piece is start now. That's the first step, right? Or the first tip rather. The second tip is mind your own business. Stop comparing yourself to others and stay in your own lane. Okay. It doesn't help you to compare yourself to them. It only hurts you, and it puts you always at a disadvantage. Brene Brown, who is an amazing researcher in the world of authenticity and vulnerability, she has said, if you look out into the world for evidence that you don't belong, you will always find it. And there's truth in that. There's always someone or something discrediting you and counting you out. And all it is because it's a reflection of what's happening in their life or what has happened in their life. So all they know is to give of what they have experienced, right? So again, start now, mind your own business. The third thing is be accountable, right? And I tell people, schedule your accountability, whether you use your phone, Google Calendar, whether you use apps, whether you use a person, be accountable and create an agenda or a planner or a schedule of your small wins for the big goal. Right? So you can't just be like, okay, so I'm gonna open this business on January the 1st. Here it is, December the 13th, and you ain't got a tax ID. You don't have a a business plan, or what I like to be more focused on, which is, our business coach, Lisa Savage, for our agency, she says a vision plan. Having an actual vision plan, being able to do your research of the market, learning about why this is a gap and why this is necessary, of why you're bringing into this business and this industry, who's your target population, how will they reach you, how will you reach them, and you just ready to get a cute little sign put on a door on January 31st and pass out flyers and says that, and get a bank account, which some of y'all don't even get a business account. Y'all just put it all in your personal account, right? And say we're open, right? So we got to be careful not to just move and do things, but actually schedule things and be conscientious of how we're scheduling things, whether that's your time, right? If you know good and well you like to be in bed by 8 o'clock, I'm gonna tell myself, me and my partner are in bed every single night by 10:30. Like 10 o'clock, 10:30, I watch House Hunters. So we watch that episode and we're in bed by 10:30 at night, right? And so part of that is because we're disciplined to know that he gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. I get up at 8:30 in the morning to go to work. And so I need my sleep, right? So I schedule my shows. I get everything I need to get done so that I'm home and by 9 o'clock, and I am taking care of my household things, whether that's chores or responsibilities to the household, and our time together, my downtime together, and then we are ending the day. So schedule those things that you need in order to keep you on track, right? You can't be laying in bed knowing that at 10 o'clock, that's your bedtime, and you're supposed to be going to sleep because you got to get them to go to work next day, or you got class or something next day, or some type of responsibility or whatever. And then Keisha and them calls you and says, oh girl, I need a ride to the grocery store. And it's like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, right? So, again, we want to help a friend out. We want to be there for somebody. But then my question then becomes, how come you didn't reach out to me earlier? Why am I just hearing about this now? Right? So how do I not self-abandon and say, oh my God, let me go ahead and get on up? Because if you get on up and you go, it's probably going to take you anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, if not more, to take Keisha to the grocery store, let her shop around, do all the things that she needs to do, even if that's, important for her and her family and her needs, and then to drop her off and get back to the house. Now you at home and it's almost 12 o'clock at night. You're going to wake up the next day. You don't have enough sleep. Your mood is going to be impacted, and your patience level is going to be low. Your stress level is going to be high, and it's going to be a rough day for everybody, and yourself included, right? And we don't want to start that cycle of self-abandoning and saying yes to everything because it's our expectations of who we should be as a good friend, or who we should be as a daughter. Oh, well, it's mama, well, it's daddy, or they've always done for me. You have to be very careful not to allow, that guilt piece or that fear piece to come in and dictate who and what you do at the expense of self. Okay, now if you know that one night you can do that and it won't ruffle feathers, and you'll be able to get back on track, and you'll be conscientious of how you get back on track, I would say yes to that, but also do that with a conversation. Don't just say yes, because then if there's no conversation or follow-up, right, about what that looks like next time, right? Call me ahead of time, give me a heads up, let's rearrange something in the day, whatever the case may be. Then that creates the communication piece, the assumption that it's okay to do this, right? We have to be careful to set those boundaries so that people will respect them. Wherever there's a lack of boundaries, there will always be a lack of respect, okay? So the first piece, we're going to go back. Tip number 1, start now. Okay, don't wait, start now. Tip number 2 is being able to be accountable. Schedule accountability, right? Schedule in a way that mind your own business. It's mind your own business. I'm sorry, y'all. So the first tip is start now. The second piece is mind your own business, right? Don't compare. The third thing is accountability. Be accountable for your time, and be accountable for your goals, so that you don't end up saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Because sometimes we self-abandon even for self. We self-sabotage, right? So, which is a form of self-abandonment. So, that is the third thing. The fourth thing is be realistic, right? I think a lot of times we have goals and expectations of ourselves that are so out there and so gigantic that it's not ready for it to harvest, for it to reap for us to reap what we've sown or what we've allowed other people to sow into our visions and our goals, right? So if you know that if one of your goal is, I'll go back to the weight loss piece. If one of your goals is to lose weight or whatever, and you have not worked out in like X amount of years, you don't need, the most workout you do is walk to the refrigerator and back, into the mailbox and back, and even that's a struggle for you. Starting out with the expectation that on January the 1st, I'm going to work out 6 days a week. I'm going to go after work, or I'm going to get up early in the morning. Let's not do that. Okay, first of all, if you're not a morning person, don't be getting up early in the morning, because you know that's not going to be you anyway. You're going to find some excuse or reason not to. Okay, the other thing is that 6 is a lot. Like, that is for someone who has been disciplined mentally in that area and has created a healthy habit of that. Okay, so I want you to be able to understand that starting off realistically, which is like, I'm going to shoot for 2 times a week, and allow that to do consistently. Find out your days, the days that'll work best for you to work out, the times that'll work best for you to work out. If you're going to do it with somebody or not do it with somebody, what type of workout are you going to do? Is it going to be traditional in the gym sense or not traditional in another type of sense in regards to like kickboxing or something like that? So allow yourself time to grow into what will be your regimen, so then you can learn what your ceiling is. That, 6 actually was not it for me. I'm good with about 4 times a week, in conjunction with some other stuff, healthier eating and choices and etc. Okay. So again, being realistic about your goals and your expectations of yourself, and not allowing other people to try to dictate what that looks like for you. You set a vision and a goal for yourself. And so Joe Smo shouldn't be able to come along and say one thing to you that has you to completely drop it, right? Or up it, or down it in any way, to change the dynamics of it, of increasing or decreasing. So be mindful of that you've chosen this goal and this vision for yourself, and that it is based upon where you are in your life, not based upon where they want you to be, or where the desire for you to be doing in their life. Okay. And the final thing is, choose your goal and not someone else's. I think we harped on that just, earlier, but I really want to go back and ensure that you understand that your goal is your goal. It can't be because, my mom and them, they done sacrifice all this time, and so I'm doing this for the family. I'm all about transparency in this season of my life. That used to be what it was for me in my PhD. I'm a PhD candidate currently, and it has been a struggle completing my dissertation because of my own low motivation and getting so involved in everything else instead of staying aboard my vision. And so, but I used to say that, I'm gonna get this degree because neither side of my family has a PhD, so it'll give my cousin something to look up towards. It'll give my future children something to look forward to, to know that there is a woman, and a woman of brown hues and color, that can accomplish such, where in a saturated world, I found a very hard time growing up seeing women and men that looked like me or that came from a similar background as me, and that would give me hope that is an avenue for me. So I think that I leaned in on, I'm doing this for the family, I'm doing this for the next generation. No, it needs to be doing because you want to have it. The next generation is not the thing that's going to get me up to get and do research and write. It's not the thing that's going to have me to go through literature reviews and do statistics, to write up the data that I'll have to do and successfully defend, right? That won't be it. My mama's visions and dreams and what they didn't accomplish, and looking at what the next big person is out there doing, and all of that stuff, so I can add to that and be a part of that journey and that legacy. It has to be your own vision, your own journey. You have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why does this matter to me? Right? Who does it matter to the most? Because if that answer is not you, then that's huge, right? It's time for us to sit back and self-reflect, more, and ask ourselves those tough questions. Yes, you've maybe poured into a degree so many years, and that's time and energy, and everybody hopes are up, and there's money invested. But you know what? You're the one who has going to have to sit with that vision that comes to fruition, or that may never come to fruition because you won't have the passions behind it. Your dreams, your goals, your visions have to have your passions. It can't have the passions of others. Other people's passions can support your passions, but they can't be the legs and the arms and the heartbeat of your dreams, right? And your goals. So Again, I wanted to reiterate these pieces because I think they're fundamental in our everyday being. I think we get stuck in and sometimes swarmed in into social media where everybody's doing and such is on a vacation, or such and such has bought a house, and such just got married, and we get so swarmed in on, this is what I'm supposed to be doing at this point in my life, this is, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I think that we have to take a step back and reevaluate how we're going to get those goals that we truly want, if those goals are yours. Okay, so again, I want you to share this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Advocate to Create, or ADC Talk. You're gonna get weekly videos, vlogs from me on a Friday. And sometimes I'll be joined with Patricia Timmerman, my amazing partner in crime, who will kind of talk about different things that matters to her. But I hope you got something out of this video. And if nothing else, never walk away from yourself. Learn how to say yes to self at times, so you can, by saying yes to self, you're saying no to others. Okay? Take care. This is Ginevra Pearson, licensed marriage and family therapist from Advocate to Create with A to C Talk. Take care.